think of the Joe Gibbs Racing and the equity partner coming in?
Yeah, I mean, I've known about it for a while, and it's been in the works for a while. So I think it's a great opportunity for Joe to kind of pull some chips off the table and obviously, put some equity into the team that can help build it.
Looking long term, is this something where you could see them taking on an even larger role as a majority eventually?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the specifics of the agreement for sure, but obviously it's some great partners that's got some influx of resources that they can bring to the team.
Chicagoland, the street course, have you had time to get in the simulator?
Yeah, I had a few laps in it. It's a slow process to, I think it's definitely going to be challenging for sure, and we're just going to try to go there and put on the best show.
What do you think of the circuit itself in terms
Well,
of...
it's just, there's with no runoffs and stuff, it's like, man, you just hope someone in front of you doesn't make a mistake because you're going to pile in there pretty heavy.
Is it going to be a messy race, you think?
It'll be messy, yeah.
Does it remind you of any other track you've raced on?
No, definitely not. I mean, there's at least, it's like, Coda, for instance, right? Instead of their paint, there's walls. So you cross over the wrong line, and it's way bumpier too. From what I could tell, just the streets in general are super bumpy. So it has its effect on the car, and it's going to be a survival thing.
Bubba said his biggest asset is Reddick and Colorado Road Course Jesus. How accurate is that for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that certainly is a great, baseline for us at the Toyota camp. Martin's pretty good himself as well. So between the two of them, it allows all of us to get better.
The Chicago bumps, the concern is going into those line corners. Is that?
Yes.
How is that affecting it? It almost sounds like wheel hop is back, even though it's not
Yeah.
that technical.
No, the whole car is jumping. And so, if you miss your point there, I don't know what turn it is, probably turn 3 or 4, it's pile up central for sure.
Bubba had a little bit of a meltdown here last year. He had pit road problems, what have you, but he has really seemed to have grown in the last year. What have you seen out of your driver?
Yeah, I mean, he's been good, and obviously, self-reflects quite a bit, and even in the off week, self-reflecting on how he can be a better teammate, and I think that he's continuing to grow.
What do you need to see out of Chicago for you to feel like it's a successful event, maybe from your car owner hat and a racer hat?
Well, I think that ratings is one thing, right? I think that we're spending NASCAR spending a significant amount to bring in new fans and bring the race to the city. So you want to see the crowd to be good there at the racetrack, and you want to see the ratings to have a bump. The race is whatever.
Have you seen where this? You've talked about it, but have you seen where the restart area is?
I think I have.
Before you kind of turn onto the front stretch.
Yes.
Really.
Yeah.
So is that a good thing? Do you think it'll keep maybe y'all from piling it up?
Yeah, that's what the hope is that it at least lets us spread out slightly before we get into that first corner. Because again, if we're just on a tow truck and caution after caution, that's not going to be good for anyone. And I think that if we have a caution, kind of late in the race, I think it could end with a lot of cautions at the end of the race. So it's going to be a survival thing, and hopefully we just kind of stay green.
You saw how big of a deal it was to take NASCAR to LA. I mean, actually in LA with the LA Coliseum. How big is this event going to be for NASCAR to go to the third largest city in the country?
Yeah, I mean, it's good. Again, they know all the data on, their demographic and who's watching from what cities and whatnot. I know that, that's a big city and probably a lot of NASCAR fans there. So, again, the success is going to be whether they show up for the race and whether they watch on TV.
The restart zone in Chicago, could that be a precursor to what you guys were able to get done in Indianapolis and having like a restart zone in 13 or 14?
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, that's the goal too, because we don't want it to be a shit show at the end like it has been on some of the road courses. So it's just not good for anyone. It really isn't. So we're just, the driver council and those guys are really trying to work with NASCAR to come up with a compromise that would, the easiest thing is just make a single file, but no one really wants to see that.
With the new investors in JGR, has that at all kind of impacted your talks? And I assume you've known about it for a while, but I guess they're coming this weekend. Is there anything for you to sit down and in that sense, and also what does it mean for the organization?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really good for the organization for sure. I think that it allows Joe to take some chips off the table for sure. I mean, he's invested a lot into this sport, and to now have an investment firm that's got a lot of resources is really, really good for our team, and it's definitely bringing some forward thinking into what the long-term plan is for Joe Gibbs Racing. So it's a great group, and excited to work with them.
Does it impact your future at all? Or any of your
No,
plans?
I don't think it impacts my future.
Were you worried about a succession plan after? I mean, first you lose JD, then you lose Coy. I mean, and at Joe's age, I mean, did you have questions?
Yeah, I mean, everyone has questions. Everyone has questions about Penske and Hendrick and all those guys, right? And so I think that it's just part of the process of the succession plan. And Heather Gibbs now is stepping up in her role as well. So I think they're in a good place for the long term.
With the new group, is there any hope to kind of be tied in them yourself to have a little bit of that ownership stake of the Sixers or the Devils that they're involved with? Or?
I haven't had any of those talks. There's been, there's a lot to talk about for sure, but there'll be a lot of opportunities.
Do you hope to, at some point, have some sort of minority or small stake in other professional sports other than the race team?
Yeah, long term, yeah.
Denny, looking at the playoff grid, Keselowski and Buescher for RFK both hold spots right now on the playoff grid.
Mm-hmm.
Are they for real this year compared to where they were last year?
I think certainly they've at times been the banner Ford stable. I mean, I think at times you look at the Ford cars, definitely an outlier for SHR, and kind of leads the Ford camp as far as consistent results. But as far as an organization, combining them, I would say that RFK's been one of the best Ford teams out there. So certainly I would say that what they're putting out there on the racetrack is for real.
5 years ago, the idea that you would have raced at a dirt track inside a stadium at North Wilkesboro in a city street, you probably would have loved the idea because it's something different, but thought, no way in hell it happened. So
Yeah.
to have it like at this point now, what is it like?
It means you just got to be really versed in your skill set. I mean, for me personally, when there was just 2 road courses on the schedule, I could just kind of write them off and say, we're going to get a good finish, not a great finish, and move on to the tracks that we know we can win and that the championship runs through. Now with the regular season, you get so many points for that. You have to be good at all of them, and so you have to really work on your skill set, and the drivers are forced to get better. And so it's interesting and different for sure, but I think that schedule variation is what has created a lot of the bump in ratings that we got over the last few years.
And like I said, 5 years ago, people thought you're crazy to suggest something like that. Look where it is. So what are the crazy ideas that we look at now that could be possibilities in the near future?
I never say never to anything. That's for sure. I mean, I think that what this has taught us for sure is that things that you never thought we would do that we are doing. And so, what's next is going across the pond, evidently.
Are you familiar at all with the new mufflers you're using?
I'm not. I haven't run them. I haven't heard them. Haven't run them.
So
How did you
they're
get
that
better at your
silent.
road course?
Yeah, that's exactly. Good one.
How did you get better at your road course racing? Was it just a matter of working on the sim?
I haven't
Did you
yet.
take it-
I mean, I've gotten better, but I haven't got. I talked with 2311 guys and over the off week and just talked about how appreciative I was with them to work with me, and obviously the engineers and the driver coaches that they got over there. But it's going to be a process. Like, I felt like I got better at Sonoma, but then when we go to Chicago, I've got to learn. I've got to compare myself again. When we go to another road course, I've got to do that whole process again. Now, if we went back to Sonoma, I'd feel like I'm a better road course racer. But each track is so different, and where you try to attack them and get fast is different at every track. So just because we had a good qualifying result and good, we ran well at Sonoma, it doesn't really mean that I've fixed my road course prowess. I think, I mentioned it. It's a process, and it's probably going to take about a year for me to really understand where these guys are so much better.
You talked about
guys.
This is Harrison Burton, driver the number 21. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, check out one of these 2 videos beside me. Visit frontstretch.com for more racing content.